friends, welcome to my kitchen. Today I'll be showing you my master yeast dough recipe. This recipe I make almost weekly, and it can be used for bread, it can be used to make cinnamon rolls, and it can be used to make dinner buns. So that's what I'll be mixing together today, and I'll take you along with me. This recipe is made in my Bosch mixer with our large family. Very necessary investment. I start off by pouring 6 cups of water into my mixer. This water should be very warm, especially because I'm using lard as my oil and it is not melted. Make sure your water is warm. Next, I add lard. This lard is room temperature. If yours is cold from the fridge, soften it up a little bit before using, just because it does cool down the water. And I add about 1 cup. 1 cup of lard for my 6 cups of warm water. Next, I add in 2 tablespoons of salt and about approximately 4 tablespoons of sugar. Next, I'll be adding my yeast. This comes from Costco. It's my favorite, and it's the best active dry yeast you can find for the price. I like to store mine either in the freezer or in the fridge. So what I do is I open the package and store it in a mason jar. I also like to add eggs to my bread dough recipe, but I started doing that after I've added the first 10 cups of flour. So into this mixture, I will add 10 cups of flour, all-purpose white flour. You'll turn it on and mix for about 3 minutes. After mixing for the first 3 minutes and your eggs are fully incorporated, you will add another 10 cups of flour. You can do freshly milled, or sometimes I do half and half. Today I'm just doing all-purpose flour for everything. And then you will add, the total amount of flour that is added for this recipe is about 15 to 16 cups of flour. It depends on the softness of your dough. And yeah, as you continue doing this, you will learn more about the texture and how yeast dough is supposed to feel. Voila. If your dough ends up being a little bit sticky like mine, sprinkle on some flour, knead with your hands for a few minutes until you have the consistency you're going for. Next, I cover this with clean cotton. I always keep a piece in my kitchen. I cover this with a layer of fabric, and then I follow up with a layer of plastic. I'm using garbage bags. Let rise for 1 hour before you will work with it. This dough can be used to make bread, dinner buns, or cinnamon rolls, and up to this process you will follow the same steps. So we're back in the kitchen and it's been about an hour. This dough has risen nicely. You want it let it rise for about an hour or until it has doubled in size. So I'm going to be making 3 things. I'm going to be making dinner rolls, bread, and as well as some cinnamon rolls from this dough. First, I will work with the bread. I plan on making 3 loaves. So I have my loaf pans. I am oiling them a little bit with lard. Bread dough is very forgiving. Even if it's not a perfect loaf, by the time it has risen for the second time, it'll look prettier. It's about 1.5 pounds or 620 grams. I'll be doing the same with this. I'm covering it with a cloth that I keep in my kitchen. And the bread will rise for another hour and then I will bake it. Next, I will be rolling my buns. I oil my hands a little bit so that I can roll them without my hands sticking to the dough. I've done this so long that I don't really measure them. I kind of go by feel. I start cutting my individual buns, and once I have about 8 or so, with time you will learn how to feel for this, and I know how they're supposed to feel. I simply roll them on a well-oiled countertop until they form shape. This is what a unbaked, unrisen hamburger bun looks like. It is exactly 2 ounces. If you All right, so I got about 3 dozen hamburger buns rising. I have a small chunk of dough left that I will turn into cinnamon rolls. I start off with butter. It's helpful if it's a little soft. This is a little hard. You could also melt it and spread it like that. Next, some brown sugar and cinnamon. I'm putting mine into an well-oiled pie plate. Now I will roll my cinnamon roll. Cutting these is a little bit difficult. I cut them about 1 inch. These I will also let rise for about half an hour before baking. At this point, I want to make sure everything is covered well. So I'm going to be moving my bread here. Cotton sheet comes in handy. I'm going to cover everything and set a few timers because the buns need to rise 2 hours, the cinnamon rolls only need to rise half an hour, and then the bread needs to rise about 1 hour. And then I will bake them in the order they are ready to bake. And these are just garbage bags that I've cut open. You want a thin layer of plastic as well as fabric.